وإلى عاد أخاهم هودا. زياد بسم الله. Okay, next question guys. Who's the first to ride horses? Yes. Whoever came Sunday, he knows the question.
Should have wrote it down.
Who is the prophet of the people of... No, sorry. Who is the first to ride horses? Yes.
Prophet Adam.
No. Yes. No. You know him? Ziyad. Nope. Yes? Nope. Come on. We're riding horses. Who's the first to ride horses? Yes. Nope. Yes. Okay. You know the father of the prophets? His son. Dismiss the question. You know why dismissed, right? Because you don't answer loud. Raise your hand and then you speak. Okay? Next question. So the first person to ride horses was Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. Okay? Okay. Who was the first to say point? Point. Point. Like poem. To make poem. Someone, yes. Yes. Who was the first to ride? ريم على القاع بين الباني والعالم حل سفك دمي في الأشهر الحرم رمى القضاء بعين جبر أسدا يا ساكن القاع أدرك ساكن الأجم لما رنا حدثت النفس قائلة يا ويح جنبك بالسهم المصيب رومي جحدتها وكتبت السهم في كبدي جرح الأحبة عندي غير ذي ألم يا لائم في هواه والهوى قدر لو شفك الوجد لم تعزل ولم تلمي لما رنا حدثت النفس قائلة يا ويح جنبك بالسهم المصيب رمي يا نفس دنياك تخفي كل مخفية وإن بدا لك منها حسن مبتسم. Who's the first to write it? Yes. No, come on guys. Sayyidina Muhammad is the last prophet. Who's the first to write poetry? Yes. No. Yes. No. My God. Okay. Next question guys. Who's the first to give estimate to the time? No. Who's the first to estimate the hour? He says, okay, from this certain much to this certain much, it's an hour, and from this certain much to this certain much, it's an hour. So who's the first to estimate the time? من أول من قدر الوقت والساعة. And why? Who is one chocolate? Why is another chocolate? Yes. Bismillah. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Sayyidina Umar was the first to use a date for Muslims. Guys, please, do not create a pocket. You know, we're gathered here, please. Okay? Brothers, Mustafa, Bismillah, come here. Brothers, please, join us here. You guys just speak whatever you want. Habib. Okay. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. There was the biggest calamity affected the whole planet Earth. So he used the time at that time to estimate something. You know, so I literally answered the question, the two parts of it. So whoever guessed it, he got 2 chocolates. Yes. Musa, what was the big incident? Come on. No. Yes. My God. What happened? Why did you use it? Yes. Yes.
Wait.
Okay. The first person to use the time, by the way, he will take 3 because he was one of the first to come and I didn't give him and he answered the 2 points of the question, so he gets 3.
Wait, who was it?
Okay. Sayyidina Nuh was the first to estimate time. To give estimate to the time. This is an hour, this is an hour, this is an hour. This much is an hour, and this much is an hour, and this much is an hour. Why he used that? Because the planet Earth was totally flooded for a whole 2 months. So he used that to estimate how much time we've been in this ship. You know, because he doesn't know how much time it is, so he used the watch, okay? So the next part was, who is the prophet to ask to see his Lord? To ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. من أول من طلب أن يرى الله عز وجل؟ ما شاء الله. What?
I just came.
Yes.
I just came.
No.
He asked me.
Yes. Prophet Musa. What is the آية? Whoever says the آية he gets a chocolate. مين اللي هيقول الآية اللي ربنا سبحانه وتعالى طلب فيها من سيدنا موسى إن هو يراه؟ سوري معذرة أعكس اللي طلب سيدنا موسى أن يرى الله عز وجل. Yes. My God. بسم الله. You get two. بسم الله. أنا أعطي عطاء من لا يخشى الفقر. بس جاوب قلت بس. Yes. He got two and he wants to switch. بسم الله. Guys, some of you take it. You have one, right? Give it to someone who doesn't take it. If you have. Take one. Which flavor you want? Which? Caramel? The white chocolate? Trade me for what? You wanted to pay me to get chocolate? You said I want to trade you. Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm going to close my eyes and whenever I see him, he's in trouble. 5, 4. You first say sorry? You first say sorry? Yes. Go sit there. What I can see. Yes, come on. Guys, after what happened today, I'm very sorry. There is no more chocolate. We'll stop the thing. Can someone make a bet? No. What happened is totally wrong. This shouldn't happen. Okay? I'm sorry. You guys got me upset. This shouldn't happen. Can someone call the adhan, please? Who wants to call the adhan? Who didn't call it before? You never? Bismillah.
بص الشوكولاتة بس بتاعتي.
Mustafa, you were here, I've been here, I think came from here.
What? Do I still get it?
Yes.
And I paid for the chocolate.
Can you pay? Yes. How much? $10, I'll get you all one. By the way, it's $4.12, so I'm paying $2 for you.
I have 70 cents. Is that
For that, guys, brothers, please.
Brothers, Assalamu alaikum. We're now calling the adhan, and we're having the khutbah, and we have the Jumada. Just stay quiet, okay, inshallah?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الفلاح حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
What's your name?
So guys, let's say اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي سيدنا محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة الدرجة العالية الرفيعة وابعثه اللهم المقام المحمود الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. Okay. Can I ask you for something? Before I start the khutbah? Listen carefully. Because next time I will be having a printed quiz. Printed quiz. Distributed on you to answer. Is there a khutbah now? إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. Today, inshallah, we live with the Battle of Tabuk. The Battle of Tabuk happened in the month of Rajab. In the ninth Hijri year, was led by the Prophet ﷺ. Although it's called a battle and it's called a war, but there is not even one sword spread out in that war. The swords have never been used in this war. What happened is the Prophet ﷺ in the Medina, his security agents got to him some news that the king of Basasina, which is a Roman Arab, that some Arab Christians, united with the Romans, the Roman Empire, and they decided to send an army to finish Muslims in the Medina, to conquer the Medina of the Prophet ﷺ. So our Prophet ﷺ decided to go to them. How far are those people? They are not less than 400 miles from the Medina. Which means the Prophet ﷺ has to take the Muslims, which at that time the Prophet ﷺ gathered almost 30,000 soldiers within his army, and he will be traveling with them for 50 days in the depth of the desert. It's a big trip, it's a big incident, and it's a very hard time, a very tough time for Muslims to leave Medina at that time. So the Prophet ﷺ asked everyone to put his share so they can all share together to prepare the Muslim army before they leave the Medina. At that point, the Prophet ﷺ started to collect the zakah and the charity from the Muslims, and also the charity they gave. Umar radiallahu anhu came with half of his money, which was a total of 3,000 dirham of fidda, silver. So he paid 3,000 of silver dirham, donated them for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the messenger and for the Muslims at that day. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, how much you left for your family to spend from? So he said, I left the same amount for my family. In my house, I left over 3,000. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came and he gave 4,000 dirham to the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him, how much you left for your family? He said to the Prophet, I left to them Allah and His Messenger. So he left nothing at the house of the Prophet ﷺ. Which means and tells us why Abu Bakr stands where he stands, and why we value him so much, and why we respect him, and why he was the first Khalifa. Because he never hesitates to give when he's asked to. And when he's asked to give, he always gives as much as he can. And that's why there are these certain ayat that was sent down in the Quran to please Abu Bakr. These ayat are, and I will ask about it next week, these ayat are where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. That the one that he shows taqwa to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be far away from the hellfire. الَّذِي يُؤْتِي مَالَهُ يَتَزَكَّى. The one that he pays his money to give it as a charity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا لِأَحَدٍ عِنْدَهُ مِنْ نِعْمَةٍ تُجْزَى. and no one can pay him or reward him back. رضي الله عنه. إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى, and he never spent anything but for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى, and surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will please him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be sure to make him pleased in the Jannah. So the ayats again are وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى الَّذِي يُؤْتِي مَالَهُ يَتَزَكَّى وَمَا لِأَحَدٍ عِنْدَهُ مِنْ نِعْمَةٍ تُجْزَى إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى. Thank you. So these are the ayats. وسيجنبها الأتقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى. At these certain ayat, which was to speak about the value of Abu Bakr and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala values all the monies and all the effort that Abu Bakr puts in to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not to make this long. Now, Uthman radiallahu anhu came with 1,000 dinar gold to spend them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he prepared 100 camels with the weapons and everything to be carried on these camels to prepare the Muslim army. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said after this, commenting and making a dua to Uthman radiallahu anhu, مَا ضَرَّ عُثْمَانُ مَا فَعْلَ بَعْدَ الْيَوْمِ. There is nothing to hurt Uthman after what he had done today. Now, while the Muslims are giving, some of them giving all what he can manage to get, because he has money, he gives money, some of them don't have much. So the one of them used to get like a hand of dates, and he gave it to the Prophet, and he says, "Oh Prophet, that's all what I have." Some of them gets a piece of bread, and he says, "Oh Prophet, that's all what we have," and he gave it to the Prophet. The hypocrites at this time mocked the believers. How they mocked the believers? They said Umar and Abu Bakr, they're only giving this because they like to show off. They're basically showing off. And about those who give so little, because that's all what they can, and this is all what they can afford to give for the Prophet ﷺ and for the believers, like a piece of bread and like a hand of dates, it's not much. So they ask the people, what are this? And they're making fun of them. So the Quran comes and comments in this, and this is, guys, a lesson for you, for anyone who backbite his brother or mock his brother or speak bad about his brother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He says, الَّذِينَ يَلْمِزُونَ الْمُطَّوِّعِينَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ بِصَدَقَاتِ. Those who are mocking the believers while they are giving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as big as they give or as little as they give. وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَجِدُونَ إِلَّا جُهْدَهُمْ فَيَسْخَرُونَ مِنْهُمْ سَخِرَ اللَّهُ مِنْهُمْ. Allah is mocking them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is planning for them, preparing a hell to them. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. So that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comments on those who backbite the brothers, speak bad about the brothers, mocking the brothers, planning any kind of challenges or anything for the brothers. Why? Because we believers should love each other. Should love each other. And from this war, from this battle, I will give you a situation of love. Guys, it was 50 days in the depth of the desert. So the companions were very thirsty. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "O Prophet of Allah, can you please ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send the rain over us? Because we used that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your dua." So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked Abu Bakr, "Would you love that? Would you love me making the dua for us?" And now I want you guys to learn this way. When your brother asks you for something, answer him back. Would you love me to do this? Would you be pleased if I were to do this for you? So Abu Bakr said yes. So the Prophet ﷺ raised his hand, and before he takes his hands back and drops his hands, the rain came and the Muslims at that day drank. البر لا يبلع والدم لا ينسى والديان لا يموت ابن آدم اعمل ما شئت فكما دليل الجبال أو كما قال التائب من الذنب كما لا ذنب. الحمد لله الذي رفع عن الحق فأعلاه وأزهق الباطل فأخاه وخلق الإنسان فسواه وشق سمعه وبصره ثم هداه. اللهم لك الحمد وأنت نور السماوات والأرض ومن فيهن ولك الحمد وأنت قيوم السماوات والأرض ومن فيهن ولك الحمد وأنت الحق وقولك حق والنبيون حق والساعة حق وكل ما جاء من لدنك حق. Dear brothers, all of you, I want you to learn these things. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks you for something, jump for it. Don't hesitate, don't wait. If it is the prayer call, jump to pray. Why? Because if you lose it in the beginning, you might pray it later, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like those who come late. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Quran, انفروا خفافا وثقالا. Don't ask yourself to, don't wait until you be ready. Because a human never gonna be ready. You always forget things, you always miss things. You know, so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls you for something, go for it right away. And part of it, when your parents ask you for something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you that He's watching you and He's watching what you do, and He asked you to be righteous and try to be kind and to be good toward your parents. So when your parents ask you for something, do not respond late. Do not get back late to them. Why? Because there are two gates to the Jannah. You just sealed it by not responding to them. Second thing, never speak bad about your brother. Allah doesn't like that. Allah doesn't like you when you speak bad to your brother. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also loves those who give for their brothers, who love their brothers, speak with love and kindness with the brothers and each other. So these are the kind of things we need to grow between us, to grow up the love between us, to share love between each other, to protect each other, to make each other feel safe, to be a strong and tight bond between all of us. And that's all under the term of brotherhood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the believers in the Quran. He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُم. They show mercy to each other. They share mercy between each other. رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُم. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, أَذِلَّةٍ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَعِزَّةٍ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. A believer is humble to his brother in Iman. We are all sharing the same aqidah, the same belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we should love each other. Why? Because we want to be together in the Jannah, pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ما من يوم الجمعة إلا في ساعة إجابة، فادعوا الله معي عسى تكون هذه الساعة. اللهم يا أحق من دعونا، ويا أكرم من رجونا، ويا خير من اتقينا، ومن علينا بغفرانك، وعاملنا بفضلك وإحسانك، وهب لنا نورا من أنوارك، وذكرا من أذكارك، ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا أقل من ذلك. اجعل لنا لسان صدق في الآخرين، واجعلنا من ورثة جنة النعيم، ونجنا من عذابك ونيرانك. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يغفر الله لنا ولكم. محمد, can you come?
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله